right, welcome back. This is Amelia and Ashley from Burleigh County Extension today with the Extension Connection, talking to you about pretty much a little bit of everything, a little bit of gardening, a little bit of rain barrels, and then Ashley is going to tell us about weed control. This is the part of gardening I don't think any gardener enjoys, but knows that it's a part of life.
You know, those pesky weeds, and we had a beautiful warm-up already this spring, and we actually are seeing some of those weeds already come out in our lawns.
I really dislike how our weeds are so resilient and other things are not.
I know. That is frustrating. You know, a lot of us typically were, the end of April, May, we maybe are putting our pre-emergence on for some of those weeds that we have in our lawns. Well, with the warm-up we had early on, we probably should have been out there a little earlier and started applying those pre-emergents, because now we're seeing those weeds. So weeds are the most visual of the three big pests of lawns. So there's three pests to your lawn, and that's weeds, insects, and disease. Weeds are not only weeds can be thought of as a pest by one person, but thought by one other person as a beautiful, addition to their lawn.
I think morning glories are a prime example of this.
Yes. Yep.
I grew up in Montana, and morning glories were like you didn't want morning glories. They grew in your yard. You didn't want them. People tried to kill them. And here, people plant them.
Yep. And, for instance, for, morning glories, a lot of people think they're beautiful, and some people think they are weeds. Really, what they are to your lawn are their competitors. So are they a worthy competitor? Do you really want them competing for the space, the light, the water, and the nutrients that your lawn needs? Many times what is considered a weed in one lawn is a desirable plant in another. For example, homeowners living close to a golf course will often have bent grass invading their Kentucky blue. In other cases, one homeowner may be growing an attractive lawn with a blend of tall Fescus cultivars, while another homeowner will consider a single tall Fescus plant showing up in a bluegrass lawn as an undesirable weed. So there is really much to be said about the eye of the beholder when it comes to your lawns.
I think this is ever evident in my neighborhood.
Oh, yes.
Because I live in a very older neighborhood, and everybody has well-groomed lawns. I think my neighbors have each mowed their lawns probably twice, and I have yet. I don't even really know which room in my garage my lawnmower is.
Oh.
So, that's how.
So that might
out of my mind.
Your task for the weekend.
I think yes. My son really wants to mow our lawn. He's 3.5.
Okay.
I don't let him mow the lawn, but he likes the thought of mowing the lawn.
My son is also 3, and what we do is we have a little play push behind mower, and it's got the little bubbles inside or whatever. And so when we mow the lawn, he mows our sidewalk. And
perfect.
So, he's out there. He loves being, honestly, both kids fight over the mower. I hope that continues to happen
to teenage years.
Yes. So getting back to these weeds, important thing is weed identification is necessary to implement a successful control program. So in order to really be successful in controlling those weeds in your lawn, you need to know what you're working with. So what types of weeds are there? Weeds are usually classified by life cycle. So you have perennials and you have annuals. The perennials are the ones that will come back every year for 3 or more years. So they're what we're seeing all the time. So Amelia, pop quiz.
Oh dear.
Can you name a perennial that you might find in your lawn?
Quackgrass.
Quackgrass is one. That is right. I thought you would go for the for sure the fail-safe, the dandelion.
Oh yeah.
Because I end up, because I do have young children, I end up with a bouquet of dandelions every year.
I do too. And you know what? That's one of those things that my neighbors hate. But my kids get so much enjoyment out of the dandelions.
I don't. So I'm sorry, kids. I love your gesture, but Mom does not need any more dandelion bouquets. I really don't. I'm good.
What's that? There's that one. Is it a creeping Charlie? But like
Creeping Jenny
maybe.
or Crawling Charlie. It's
Yes.
the same thing. I lived in South Dakota for a while, so if you live in South Dakota, it's a Crawling Charlie. If you live in North Dakota, it's a Creeping Jenny. But it's the same thing.
Okay.
So there you go.
Now that's a perennial, right?
That, yes, is a perennial.
Because I had a heck of a time with that in my garden last year.
Yes, and that will vine up on anything in your garden.
It loved my tomato plants.
Yep. If you have any type of stake out there or, the surrounds for the tomatoes, it will vine right up on it.
Yep.
And it's a pesky thing, and really the only thing I can tell you is just constantly be weeding it. That's probably the most effective method.
There's nothing else I can do for it.
No, if you want to keep all your garden plants living.
Okay, fine.
So.
Which is usually the goal of any gardener, really.
That is really the goal, yes. So we have our perennials. They will come back year after year. And then we have our annuals. They begin and complete their life cycle in one growing season. And so between the biennials or plants that require 2 years to complete their lives, the first year usually is in the form of a rosette. And so those, they may not grow tall, but they're the ones that are wider on the ground, that kind of have that rosette form. And then you will see in the following year, you'll have a bolt and a flower. So the bolt is when it grows up and has some type of bud on it.
So that would be
flower.
the dandelion.
Yes, that would be the dandelion. So before you see that dandelion shoot up and emerge, you will see that rosette in the ground. So I know my husband and I, we did not get our pre-emergence down early enough this year, and so I have a bunch of rosette dandelions. And
the only way to get dandelions out is get their root out, right? They're one of those that...
Yeah, most weeds, the point when you're weeding is you want to make sure that you're not just pulling off that flower or that bolt. You want to get that rosette that's still part of the weed, and you want to dig down and get that root out because otherwise that root will continue to grow continuously. So for dandelions, really good cultural practices to maintain your turf is just really weeding and continue to get down and get that root out of your lawn or your garden area. Weeds are also classed, so we have your perennial and your annual, and then you have either your grass weeds or your broadleaf plants. Both methods of classifying weeds are important in managing and controlling weeds. An annual, like crabgrass, requires different control management practices than a broadleaf perennial like your dandelion. So knowing if it is a broadleaf or a grass and whether it's a perennial or annual will really determine what type of management practice you can elect. So to select that herbicide are used for effective control along with some good management practices. So really just being able to properly identify your weed, whether you're seeing it year after year or it's only there once a year, and then determining if it's a grass or a broadleaf and selecting that herbicide.
And if I still can't figure out what it is, I can bring it into you, right?
Exactly, yes. If you have a weed that you just cannot identify it, please bring it out to our office or give me a call or, hey, you can even take a picture and send it to my email, and I will help you try to identify it and then suggest a herbicide or a control measure that will help ratify that weed in your lawn. So with that, we will be taking a break, and we look forward to coming back and finishing our Burleigh County Extension Connection with you.